this year rather, all of the legislators' positions are up for re-election. So it's going to be a big year to be involved and aware of what's going on within civic engagement. And so that's one of the reasons why we wanted to focus our attention tonight on civic engagement. So I'll turn it back to you, Sheila.
Absolutely. No, thank you for that. Yeah. And I just put another link in the chat. Who's my legislator in Virginia? If you type in your address, you can see who represents you, both who represent you now, and you can both at the local level, at the state level, your state delegate, your state senator, and then you can toggle to who or the new districts. What is the district for 2023 and where are people voting for 2023? So elections are huge. Go ahead, Ken.
Oh, I was following up on something Karen said. She was there on Methodist Day. We learned it's going to be a very interesting primary season because with the new districts and the overlaps, a lot of representatives who we agree with are going to be are in the same primary races. And
yeah, and that's true. There are some districts with 2 incumbents. I think there's even 1 or 2 districts that have 3 people who are currently serving in the General Assembly who all now live in the same district and will have to run against each other in the primary and or the general election. A lot of districts that lean heavily toward one party or the other have 2 candidates from a particular party who will be going in the primaries. So Virginia Interfaith, we are a nonprofit and we don't, we're never going to tell you who to vote for, but we do care a lot about issues, and elections are a prime time for you to talk to the candidates and find out where they stand on issues and find out and make determinations about whether or not you support them based on issues that are important to you and important to your faith. So things like, for us, paid sick days, our implicit bias training, affordable housing, criminal justice reform, all those things that we haven't yet made perfect in the world, which is all of them, are going to be on the ballot this year, this November. Robert has texted that he is still having internet troubles, but he's on his way. So Virginia Interfaith is going to be, we've put together a list, a big list is on the wall of our office of who's running in each district and where are there competitive primaries, where are there going to be incumbents in the general, and there are some districts with 0 current elected officials living in them. So there are some districts that are just wide open for anybody to take. I mean, it's a little more complicated than that, but
just a little.
Andy, I see you asking if you can have access to the list. The short answer is not in its current form because there's a bunch of editorial comments, but you can probably have access to some version of the list. And we compiled it using the Virginia Public Access Project, vpap.org. They are fabulous, and they just have information on everyone who files for an election, everyone who's giving money to whom, and they track elections really thoroughly. So if you've got free time and want to dig in, vpap.org is delightful. Oh, Robert's back in the room. Hooray.
Yes. Great job. Great job. So
take it away.
That being said, there's a couple of things I wanted to share tonight, and I'll go fast because I lost some minutes. First of all, I have a list in front of me of contested, what we call tight Senate or House races or competitive races. And we've broken
the list.
You didn't mention it?
Just that we had it. Go on.
Okay, good. So we do have that list. All right. I'll be real brief on that. So if anybody is interested in your new district, please send me an email, robert@virginiainterfaithcenter.org. Send me an email and I will tell you who you should be able to see who your candidates are. But if not, I can give you information. It's very important for the ones that are competitive for the primary elections, but we also have it broken down for the general elections as well, based on candidates that we know. Again, we don't endorse any candidates. Everybody knows that. We just support, or we follow the candidates that are very concerned and about our issues and things of that nature. I have a list of things that I have put together as targets or items that I'm going to be working on to build a coalition. I talked about at the very beginning that my job is to build coalitions, because Andrew did a great job talking about the Hindu organization. I want to meet with them. I want to get to know them and things of that nature. At the same time, I'm constantly going to be going out and building coalitions. So on my list, I'm going to run through them. There are about eight or nine groups that I'm going to be targeting. And somewhere in these groups, you may fit in, and where you could be helpful to me building the coalition, or you may be a member of some of these coalitions. I don't know, but I'm going to run through them. So one is to recruit and equip 300 Black churches to become 100% voting congregations. So we already know from data and things of that nature that a lot of our Black churches aren't 100% voting. Some of your churches may not be 100% voting and or registered. So, we always want to start with the people that's close to us, but I'm going to be going out and forming or working with different conventions of churches to build coalitions. Last year, we had the pleasure of joining a joint Baptist convention here in Richmond that was representing, hundreds of churches all over Virginia. And Sheila was there, I was there, and King Salim was there. And so we talked about voter registering to vote and civic engagement. But my target is I got to reach out to 300 churches. So if I go to a convention and I can reach 50 in one convention, that will help me out. But my goal is to reach 300 churches and to get them to try to be 100% voting. That's that one. Next thing is this is non-denominational. We want to film videos of Virginia's major denominational leaders urging civic engagement and distribute them widely through your churches. So if we can, we're going to be reaching out to Muslims at the mosque. One of the imam, we want him to send a message to his Muslim brethren and sisters to become civic engaged. Same thing, if I could meet the bishop here in Richmond. Sheila has connections to the bishop probably. But if I could we want to meet the heads of the different churches and see if they could do a message to encourage their congregations and things of that nature. We're also doing a support and expand in what we're calling All In Campus Challenge. So we have a person that's going to be working alongside with me. That is Dr. Terry Irwin, who is working with all of our universities and seminaries. Anybody that was at the Student Day of Action, she was a primary point of contact for bringing together over 20 different schools and like it was well over 100 students. About 150 students came last week for that Student Day of Action. But we're looking to expand that. Right behind that, we are looking to join with the historical Black churches. You may have heard of Black universities, HBCUs. There are 6 of them in the Commonwealth of Virginia. 2 of them had representatives at the Student Day of Action. That is Norfolk State University and Virginia Union. Norfolk State is from Norfolk, Virginia, and Virginia Union from Richmond, Virginia. They had groups of students at this event. So we want to build on that civic engagement. Those young students are wanting to be engaged and wanting to work, not just on their campus, but in their community. So we just need to expand it out besides those 2 that we already have relationships with and grow it to the other 4. The next thing, let's see here. I talked about the Muslim registration and turnout. We did a great, and I'm not, maybe 2 more minutes, Sheila. All right. We did a great job last year in our Muslim engagement. We reached out to 8,500 unregistered Muslims last year when we sent letters to encourage them to become registered and to vote. And in doing so, we also followed it up with about 3,500 phone calls to those people, to those unregistered voters. So we're waiting to get the results of that engagement through what we call the VAN system, where we'll log on, we'll be able to see if we'll run those names through a database, and they will tell us if they actually followed through. But we want to encourage, we want to develop that relationship with those Muslims, the Muslim community, because they really share the same issues, whether it's affordable housing and things of that nature. So that's one there. And let's see here. Here's another one you're going to see in your communities. We're going to partner with a couple of different organizations, but two that we're already targeted was the NAACP and the League of Women Voters to conduct candidate forums in your communities. So we will set one up in Richmond, in Roanoke. We will set up a forum out in the Western area. We will definitely come to the northern area. We will go to the eastern area, but look forward to seeing that. And let's see here, last one, we're going to do some Facebook polling. We have some folks that are real technically savvy that are going to assist us with doing some things through Facebook, because a lot of our youth are into Facebook and things of that nature. So those are some of the things I will be welcome to. I'm asking if you have any other suggestions on how we can move forward with our civic engagement, especially when it comes to voter registration and getting out the vote, when it comes to our primary coming up in June and also our general election in November. Email me, Robert at Virginia Interfaith Center for Public, Robert at Virginia Interfaith Center.org. All right, I hope I got it all in that brief time.
You did great, Robert. I actually just like to open the floor. Are there any questions for Robert or ideas that you have for civic engagement that you'd like to do yourself or see Virginia Interfaith do? Sarah, go ahead.
Good. I tried to do my raising hand signal on the computer. I didn't know how. I was just going to say to Robert, that's great. Actually, in Montgomery County in Blacksburg, where I live, already the NAACP and League of Women Voters are planning 8 voter education forums this summer, starting in mid-August. I had contacted them a few weeks ago because we have a social justice team in our congregation and 4 sub-teams. One is voting rights, reproductive justice, environment, and racial justice. And the voting rights subgroup that I'm on contacted them and about what their plans were. And they're going to be doing theirs starting, as I said, in mid-August, 8 of them probably. But we are, in our congregation, are going to be doing a preliminary kind of education for our congregation, and we have a tentative date on May 15th for just a voter education within our congregation, and likely will include some other congregations. We won't be focusing on specific candidates. We will be talking about what's new in Virginia law. We'll be talking about redistricting and how that has changed. I mean, both of mine have changed, my Senate and my House district. So we're going to be talking about that with our congregation, working in conjunction with League of Women Voters to stay on track with what they're doing. So we're not duplicating what they're doing. We're doing ours a little bit earlier because the primaries are coming up in June. So we want our congregation engaged and voting in the primaries, and then we'll be supporting the 8 or more forums that League of Women Voters and NAACP will be doing this fall. So we're excited. We're excited that in our location, and also I know they've been very involved with Virginia Tech. You talked about the campus outreach. I think Virginia Tech probably has one of the highest percentage of registered voters. So that's been a really active group. And I think one of the women in League of Women Voters was involved in getting that started at Virginia Tech, Beth Obenshane. So I think you'll have some good partners to work with, and certainly in the Blacksburg area that I'm aware of. And I'm in both those groups too, League of Women Voters and NAACP.
Thank you so much. And I'm going to reach out to you if it's okay, Sarah, after offline. Is that okay?
Sure.
I have some questions for you, but thank you so much.
There's a few other folks putting announcements in the chat. Follow the chat, but talk to Michelle about the NAACP out in Newport News. Talk to League of Women Voters. If you live in the 4th Congressional District, don't forget there's a special election. Anne, I see your hand up. I thought I saw.
Yeah, I was just going to reiterate a little bit about what I put in the chat. And that is, perhaps like Sarah, I'm also a member of the League of Women Voters. And so the Northern Virginia chapter of the Interfaith Center, because I tend to be the spokesperson for that group, I'm not the only one, but so I always offer to co-sponsor those candidate forums so that we have our information out there as well. But the League does generally not do candidate forums for primaries. So nothing really will be happening, specifically on that until probably September or October. But what I wanted to say is that I feel like the Northern Virginia chapter of the Interfaith Center is sort of also aware of all of these kinds of things. And so while we are planning a chapter session on March the 20th, for any of you who are on here who are Northern Virginia, you can mark that date in your calendar. You'll get an official notice at some point. So we're doing that as the wrap up for the 2023 General Assembly and for the budget.
Right.
But we're already tentatively planning or framing a gathering for the chapter of the Interfaith Center, which is potentially a lot of people if everybody came, in May to talk about civic engagement and to talk about get out the vote, and particularly to highlight the we're going to have somebody come and help us really lay out the redistricting, the impact of the redistricting. Now, we did that last July already. We've talked to people about that and we showed the maps and whatever, but I think that got a little lost in the fact that, well, that wasn't happening for right away. And so people still didn't really grasp the implications of the redistricting. And there's quite a lot of shifting up here too in Northern Virginia on that. So we'll be doing that at the chapter level with all of your help and assistance in the spring.
We'll be there to support you, Anne.
I know you will be, Robert. You've been a very helpful person on this journey.
Thank you. God bless.
Absolutely. Brian, I see your hand up.
Yeah, my mind goes in a lot of strange areas, but I'm wondering if we could put like maybe like a music event or something of that sort together in conjunction with, so it would draw more people out to educate, so you kind of put them together, maybe a little carnival, or I don't know, it would take some finessing and creating, but something like that where it's going to draw the people out and they're going to kind of get something in benefit as well, as we're educating them.
I love that. Robert can tell you, but there are some groups who spend more time planning that than we generally do,
Yeah.
And have a huge like souls to the polls party with local celebrities and music, and that is we're probably not quite at that level, but we can do something or work with local congregations to do something.
Do it in conjunction with blessing of the animals, or so, I don't know.
Sure.
There's a thought.
Now get out there in front.
Love it.
Good job.
Any other thoughts, questions, ideas about civic engagement? Or Robert, I'm sorry, I am just a moderator at heart. Moderate this discussion to you.
Jumping in. I'll tell you the truth. I love the idea of the of postcarding. I found that very effective. And, you know, there's a lot of people who are really happy to get 25 postcards with a set of labels, which they can do while they're watching TV or while, you know, whatever they're doing, you know, and then they really feel like they participated. So the league has done a lot of postcarding. And, you know, wherever it's most needed, but typically, you know, they're pulling from that van list, you know, the underserved communities and the communities where there's traditionally low participation and stuff like that. So, so just keep that in mind.
I want to raise, I know both you and Robert have mentioned the van list. This is all publicly available information. This is not anything that's secret society, whatever. This is all public knowledge, public available information. So, and it's available to us as we look at our congregations, you know, how are we doing as far as voting? Are we 100% voting congregation? And well, if we're not, what can we do to encourage our faith community, our congregation to be more civically engaged, to be more involved, to be 100% voting congregation?
So you're saying members
I was going to say, we always have voter registration at our church after all the masses on at least one weekend, maybe two.
It's a great idea.
I love that. Voter registration in whatever your congregation is generally a great thing. Yeah, I would love to. Yeah, any other thoughts, ideas, opinions?
Could I just say one more thing? I'm sorry.
You're always invited,
Robert, maybe you said this and maybe I wasn't paying attention. I'm sorry. What about, will the center put together some questions that people can use even for their candidates for the primaries? Because that could be, you know, it just raises the issues that we care about.
It is on the list. As I was reading them very fast, it is clearly on the list. Prepare and distribute questions for candidates on VICPP priority issues. Perfect. It's on the list.
That's good. That's fine. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Well, thank you all so much for joining us on Monday evening, Valentine's Eve, 1 week after crossover. Super Bowl Monday.
And you're a new bride. There's a tough time for you, girl.
It's a busy time. But it is so good to have you all with us. So good to be doing this work together and be believing in justice together. I'm going to mention one tiny story. So I have an intern. She's a college student with VICPP, who told me after Day for All People, she said, listen, I was super in politics back in 2020. This is a college student. She was like, my freshman year, I was really into it. And then I was disappointed. She was like, I got motivated because of the 2016 election. In 2020, the candidate who I was supporting did not win the primary, and I was just really upset, and I got really disillusioned with politics, and I haven't done much since then. She said, but I've never thought about state politics before. And I came to Day for All People, and for the first time in years, I have hope. And for me, who is not 22 anymore, I was like, you lost hope? Oh no. But on the other hand, it really does boggle my mind how much of an impact we have and how much what we say matters in the General Assembly, in our faith communities, in our friend groups, in elections, and in the primaries leading up to elections. We can get people involved. We can highlight the issues that need covering, and we can truly make a difference in what becomes law in our communities. And it was actually really helpful to hear that, because I heard that the day after I saw the budget, and I was really upset about the lack of affordable housing in the budget. But to hear how much hope my intern had, and to see how much life we can bring to our lawmakers, just truly does inspire me. So thank you all for all that you're doing, and let's keep doing it.
Thank you for everything that you've done. So you've done a great job. Thanks.
I would just think, same thing.
Thank you for this evening.
Thank you.
Everybody have a good night.
You
See you
too.
later.
Bye all.
Wow.
Bye.